Hello, it's July 13th, 2017. This is Tony Samario coming to my father BroSal.org YouTube channel, and we'll do a little end times trending here because what's interesting is how much news you see with Satanism in America anyway, probably in the Western culture. But anywhere there's a Christian church these days, you're finding Satanism is being presented as this adversary, all right? Funny enough, that's what Satan means in Hebrew, is adversary. And so in what we've been studying in the Bible study with Genesis now, and we're going to go into the fall of man and the, disobeying God and eating from the tree and the serpent, and start discussing all that allegory or whatever it is. And so I've been on this trip trying to figure out for my own self the spirit world. What do I think exists there? Are they entities? What if God created everything, including Lucifer, including all these watchers, angels that rebelled, all this sort of thing? What kind of entities are there? Where do they rebel to that's, outside of God's realm? We get this movie idea of this very dualistic nature to reality because, as we've discussed in the last couple of weeks, that is what the people that pull all the strings, that's what they're committed to, this dualism. As above, so below. And so anyway, I've been trying to get to the bottom of what devil, what is Satan, what is a devil, what is a demon, what is all this stuff, and so I started watching today something by a guy named E.A. Coding with a K. Koetting, Coding. He's got 50,000 subscribers. I realize I've come across him before. He's a Satanist. He's an occultist, trying to shed light, enlighten people as to what's really going on with Satanism. And so the title of this one that caught my attention as I was trying to learn something about summoning demons, what do you summon? What do you see? What do people say they see? Or what is there? So anyway, I came across this EA Coding, 50,000 subscribers, something he put up a couple of years ago on March 2nd, 2015, called Why Summon, quote, Evil Demons Like Satan and Astaroth. And this particular video got 200,000 views. And he's just sitting in a chair. And he's sort of a cocky, self-righteous occultist that thinks he knows something. And so I thought, well, that'll be interesting. I'll learn something about Satanism and occultism. And as he's describing some ignorant commenter talking about, don't you know you worship evil spirits like Satan and Astaroth, he's getting into this, you don't even know what you're talking about. Same thing I talk about with Christians. You talk as if your mental pictures that somebody's planted in your head is reality. So he starts talking like this, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty intelligent. He's pointing out that Satan, Astaroth, these are these old gods of other people. That when the Jew, Christian, Muslims came along, they all got turned into demons. This is his premise. This is the occult premise, at least on this, what seems to me a very shallow level. This is someone who thinks they know something, but doesn't even know their own adversary. Because as he starts talking about this premise that Christianity and Judaism and Islam have simply presided over the changing of what other people regarded as gods into what they regarded as evil demons, he says, you know what's really evil? You know what's really violent and vile? He says, I'm not violent. He says, Satanism and the occult sort of belief in Satanism, the way he's presenting it, you know, he's not violent. He said, you know what's violent and vile? And he takes you back to, says, the book of Numbers. And he quotes out of there. I don't remember exactly which passage, but he quotes a passage in which, apparently, it's recorded in Numbers that God commands, you know, to kill all of the people, including that when they come across people that aren't from their tribe, kill them all, including women and children, except for the women that haven't been with a man. If they haven't had sex yet, you can keep them for yourself. How's that for a good God everybody wants to follow? Yippee! Right? And so here's the argument of an occultist that this is, you know, this is your God. This is the God of the Christian, Muslim, Jew. The God that said, go on in there, kill everybody, women and children included, innocent people. I mean, innocent in the sense of, you know, the law is thou shalt not murder. What had these people done to any, you know, what had a child done to anyone to deserve death? All the women, all the children, kill them all. Except for the women that are virgins, you can take them home and rape them. Oh, there's a God you want to worship. There's a good God if you've ever seen one, huh? So, I don't know, Christians that want to pretend every word of the Bible is written by God, I don't know. That's your God? Why did he show up as Jesus then? Why didn't he show up and put everyone to the fire? Right? Put everyone to the sword that wasn't righteous. Which of course was all his own people, because as I finally was compelled to comment to this EA coding, occultist extraordinaire, was that apparently he didn't know what he was talking about, just like he was accusing the person commenting on his channel and not know what he's talking about with demons and Satan. Well, what do you know what you're talking about accusing Christianity of being any part of that command in Numbers? I don't know who wrote that and what God that's attributed to, but Christianity clearly, as summed up in the Gospels, has no such, you know, connection with that God. Jesus certainly, you know, the love your enemy God, turn your cheek God. The whole law is summed up in this one command, God, love your neighbor. I don't know. That doesn't sound like the same God. So, I mean, what kind of ignorance is what drove me to want to make a, hopefully just a short commentary on this today, because I thought, what height of folly to be someone who you can see by the way he presents his information and sitting in a big leather chair, and he's just an authority. He's enlightening people. And he doesn't know the difference between Christianity and Judaism in the sense of, you know, Jesus of Nazareth, which of course in his opinion is just another telling of this Astaroth tale, which in a certain Roman pagan sense of paganizing it and trying to destroy the religion, it is. Jesus, never a name that anybody called him at the time. Nobody knows who Jesus is except whoever invented that name and why. I'm just saying that, you know, the people that point that out don't know the story. They don't know what it's recorded that this Jesus actually said. Because he certainly didn't come along and said, yeah, everything they said in Numbers, that's God, that's my God. Let's go in and kill them all. Anybody that's not for us is against us, like George Bush told him. He's a good Christian. He was a good Christian president. reflecting the thoughts and the mind of the Christ, right? I mean, that's how brain dead the world is. That's what's trending. Brain dead understanding of everything. Even the Satanists don't know what the heck they're talking about. So I wanted to try and enlighten the few people that listen to us as to, what do the Satanists think they're talking about. So in one of the comments here, when I commented on this show that got 200,000 comments, 2,500 thumbs up, 747 thumbs down, including my own, published over 2 years ago, 2,044 comments. Okay? That's how we know we're not getting anywhere with our story. Because this guy who thinks he knows something about occultism, he's got 50,000 subscribers, 200,000 views, and 2,500 thumbs up, 2,000 comments. So anyway, as I was looking through the few top first comments, one of them said, to learn the truth about Satan and Astaroth, www.joyofsatan.org. So I thought, well, heck, I want to know the truth about Satan and Astaroth. So I went to www.joyofsatan.org. And what greets you there is one of those websites that look like, what was being made, I don't know, maybe when I was still in high school, whenever the first websites first came out, and being able to put something on a screen that you could see, and you use just different color type, and maybe change the fonts up a little bit to give it some flair because there wasn't much else you can do. Well, this site is like black background with some irritating blue font at the top, some quote apparently from Satan, from the Kuret al-Yazid. I don't know what the Kuret al-Yazid, I never heard of that yet, and when it was written. But apparently Satan has his own quote. His own, he's got quotes too. I mean, that's how I just want people to see, what are Satanists presenting, right? And here's what I found interesting after what we talked about the last couple of weeks, which is why I was compelled to make this commentary, is that they seem to be just as confused as to whether their Satan is a deity that you could summon and worship and put a crown on, or whether he's just a symbol for freedom and rebellion from this terrible God that would tell you what to do and who you are, and what's right and what's wrong, and reward, to threaten reward and punishment. That kind of idea. That's their concept, and it's not a hard one to follow if God is not pure good and pure light, right? If God is anything like man, then yeah, what a cruel deception and perversion to think of this God that chooses, this God that sends everyone to hell except these few chosen ones. And that's their concept of the story. And it's been perpetuated through the religious, brain dead version that became institutionalized, just like the brain dead version of politics or economics or military strategy, or all these things that anybody could have seen through and have seen through all along. That narrative gets put down, and the controlled narrative of divide and conquer, order out of chaos, fund both sides of the Civil War, and even though nobody really wants it, you fund it. Nobody wants it, but the guns are built and they're put in people's hands, and a reason is given them, and the sentiment is built up in the societies, and off we go to war that nobody wanted, with guns we never had until they made them for us, with a problem we never had till they created it for everyone, That's really history, as we've said. So, okay, so this Satanism, they don't seem to know whether they're worshiping an entity or not either, is what I thought is interesting, at least this site. So, Joy of Satan is what it's called, joyofsatan.org. And they have this opening quote, "There is no God but myself. Knowing this, who dares worship the false gods of the Quran and Bible?" This is a quote of Satan. So Satan says this. I don't know who took that quote. I don't know what other miraculous sort of prophecy is attributed as we have, say, again, Numbers. I don't know who wrote that. Sounds like a man to me. Sounds like a vicious killer that wanted to justify their killing. I mean, Jesus doesn't come along and seem to justify any of that. I don't know. I don't know how it all got lost. I don't know how the eye for an eye sort of part of it was instituted throughout time past. I just know that that's not Jesus of Nazareth, from what we have of what they say is the record of his teaching, what he said. He didn't confirm any of that stuff. He confirmed certain prophets and certain Old Testament sort of legacies maybe. But he said, I didn't come to, it looked like he came to undermine the law and say that's not important anymore. But he said, no, I came to fulfill it. So the law that resulted in all that death and destruction was purportedly fulfilled in this Messiah who turns his other cheek, gives his life for a friend, tells his people to, not to be powerful, not to go out with money and power, but to go out poor and rejoice in what they see beyond this world, right? That's the vision, and it's supposed to let you love your neighbor as yourself, no matter what that results in, who your neighbor is, all that kind of, what that all means. So that's the real religion of Christianity, but of course, nobody talks about that. You're going to refer to Christianity, you're going to refer to these brain-dead Christians who believe in, that somehow Jesus would have confirmed that Numbers is what God's Spirit's all about. Go kill everybody that's not us. If you're not for us, you get killed, and we take your virgins and rape them. Kill your children, right? But isn't this the God whose law says thou shalt not murder? How do you not consider killing a child murder? Right? Whatever the parents have done. So anyway, it just doesn't jibe for me. So you fundamentalist Christians can pretend every word was written by God if you want. I still will remain with, if it wasn't for Jesus of Nazareth and what is supposedly written of what he taught, you can keep the God of the Old Testament. I'm with the occultists. That's violent, that's vile. If that's God, I'm on the rebel side. Okay? So let's hear from what they say. This is the rebel who supposedly, as we talked about before, if God said don't drink blood, well, you drink blood. If God said I'm God and you'll have no gods before me, Satan says, there's no God but me and you shouldn't worship other gods. So, geez, that sounds like man to me. Again, doesn't sound like much proof of a deity. So anyway, let's go through this is what's on their website now, this pathetic website that looks like these days, if it was made in the modern day, and they have updates 27 February 2017, and you click on it, it takes you to a site that's not there anymore, a page that's not there. So their update site from a few months ago isn't even there. And their webpage is the most unimpressive looking thing you've ever seen. I'm just trying to say, where's the power of this? These are the people that are bringing demons out of the netherworld, right? And this is their website? Or somebody who's, I don't know. Anyway, I want to follow this for a minute, because this is what got me so, hey, what's this about? So anyway, on this pathetic website that looks like if it was done in 2017, it would be done by like a 5th grader or a 4th grader with, autism or cerebral palsy, whose, second day with the computer, they told him, hey, build a website for this Joy of Satan idea. Here's the stats, or here's the bullet points. That's what it looks like. It looks like a child built this site. It's pathetically, unprofessional, unimpressive, all that. Okay. So, here's their list of what they want you to know, the bullet points about Satanism, or at least the way they see it here at joyofsatan.org. There are different sects of Satanism. Joy of Satan Ministries is spiritual Satanism. Satanism is not a, quote, Christian invention. Satanism predates Christianity and all other religions. Satanism is not about spooks, goblins, vampires, Halloween monsters, or other related entities. Satanism is not about quote-unquote evil. Satanism is not a, quote, reaction to Christianity. Satanism is not about death. True Satanism is about elevating and empowering humanity, which was our true creator, Satan's, intention. Okay? Empowering and elevating humanity, which was our true creator, Satan's, intention. We know Satan, Lucifer, as a real being. We know Satan to be the true Father and Creator God of humanity. We know Yahweh, Jehovah of the Bible, to be a fictitious entity, and the people behind coercing this lie to be the true deceivers of humanity and the masters of lies. This is evident in the many contradictions within the Judeo-Christian Bible, revealing this text to be the work of human beings who had occult knowledge and infused it with power to make it credible and to incite fear in order to control. Now, it's not hard to look at the pathetic so-called Judeo-Christian world of our last 100 years or 200 years, and that statement rings with a lot of truth. Of course, there's, again, like I wrote to this EA coding, no recognition that Christianity is based on the fact that the Messiah, so-called Jesus of Nazareth, came and refuted the Pharisees of his day as not representing God. The prophets that are said, Jesus confirms you killed the prophets, right? So the whole idea is that the prophet said the people are not following God. You're prostitutes and whores that choose to follow Ashtoreth, which, yes, has been around. This is the whole idea. We have to imagine that Lucifer's from the very beginning when the story takes its root. No Lucifer, no fall of man. So from the time there's a story of man, there's a story of this fall, this Lucifer, this. So of course it predates Christianity, and it predates Judaism in the sense of the Mosaic Law, or Abraham being called. It's the alternative from the very beginning in the Garden of Eden, in the way the legend is told. So they neglect that in this legend, this Yahweh that they hate, which, as I say, I don't blame them. Don't tell me God wants you to go slaughter innocent women and children and rape the virgins. Not the God I follow. You can try and justify that all you want. I don't know who wrote that, and whoever wrote that, if they say they got that from the God that is Jesus, that I believe is the representative of God, well then I don't know God, and I don't know Jesus, and I don't know what path to follow. It's as simple as that, and I'm certainly not following that Jehovah path, if that's what you're telling me. So, I see their point, but again, you're going to ignore that the very one that is argued Messiah, this Christianity, this Jesus of Nazareth, comes along and, essentially comes down hardest of all people on the people in charge of his religion. And he's the one that goes down is teaching love and love every, the whole law is about love your neighbor and turn the other cheek, love your enemy. How do you reconcile? You're not even going to talk about that. You're just going to say Judeo-Christianity, as if what the Old Testament represents, the New Testament represents. So I find that to be a great flaw in their argument. And so I want the people who listen to me to at least think about that in my years of examining all this, I see that that's a real glaring flaw to pretend that Judeo-Christianity, and that's because modern Christianity, brain dead Western Christianity, born out of the whole apostasy from the times of the popes of Rome and all that, coming down to it today, well, sure, they're pushing this. Every word of the Bible is from God. And if God said kill them all and rape their virgins, well, I guess, that's what we got to do. They're sinners. They denied God. They were evil. But wait a minute. God said his people were evil. But Moses said, you don't think it's because of your righteousness you're going over there. So, I don't know. Thou shalt not murder. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm happy to ride the fence on the Old Testament stuff and say, well, no God I would follow would say that. So God, him, herself, is going to have to explain that line to me. Because otherwise I'm going to go ahead and say that this Jesus that apparently comes in history and dies and raises from the dead and works miracles, if that stuff, if I can get my mind around that being the evidence that has kept the story solidified in history, well then, wait a minute, okay, then that's a different presentation now. And now I can sort of think, well, maybe the Old Testament's misguided. I mean, maybe it was influenced by a bunch of, King Saul kind of. I mean, we're told through the prophets that these guys almost to him king of Judah and Israel, when the houses were divided after Solomon. These guys were almost to a king after king after king after king after king. Wicked, 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 wicked. So, you know what I mean? It's his own people that are the wicked ones. It's his own people that kill the prophets. It's not hard for me to imagine that they wrote into there, you know what? Go kill Jeremiah and bring me that book. I'm going to put in there, and God commanded. Right? Go kill them all and take the virgins for yourself. That's what that's what Jeremiah should have said, and he'd have lived. Now, get me the next prophet and, have the books written. I don't know. Don't tell me that's not possible. Anyway, we are law-abiding, say the joyofsatan.org people. We do not advocate or participate in any blood or living sacrifice. This act is Judeo-Christian, as stated in their Bible. Deuteronomy, thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and the blood of thy sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and thou shalt eat the flesh. This is the same God in the garden, as we read in Genesis, said he made all the herb-bearing seed and the fruit trees for everybody as meat to eat, and for every living thing, everything that creeps on the earth to eat. So, interesting here, then commands them to eat the flesh. Don't tell me that's not a difficult pill to swallow. If you're going to be on the other side and says the rebel's against this blood sacrifice, right? We don't find that now coming down through this Moloch worship and blah, blah, blah. But this is a very, I'm going to say, exoteric for the masses. This is what Satanism is given to the masses. I'm just saying most of us are the masses. And this is what, if we meet someone on the street who belongs to a Satanism thing or, is checking out Satanism, sending their kid to a Satanism learning center, this is what they're going to teach them, okay? They're not going to say we sacrifice children to Moloch. I think you have to go way up in initiation before you understand what children and why that's done. But here, just like in the Masonry, you're brought in on the lowest level as a good citizen. So we don't advocate, participate in any blood and living sacrifice. That's what Christians do. Judeo-Christians, of course. Again, ignoring that Christianity is about the fact that that's consummated in this man that let his blood as the sacrifice for all, and therefore no more bloodletting, and blood was never to be consumed by the people of God as a sign that they understood God's authority over life and death and blood. So they don't bring that to bear on this Judeo-Christianity that's always just put together as one big mistake, right? Okay, going on. We have found Satanism is the original religion of humanity. I don't doubt that's true. We have found Satanism is the original religion of humanity. We've done our research. Satanism is based upon the ancient religions that predated Judaism and Christianity from hundreds to thousands of years. And I say, why wouldn't it be? What have I been claiming that Satanism must be? I'm God. I don't need God. I don't need to follow God. I don't need to believe in a God. You don't need to tell me there's some God I need to worship Job. You don't need to tell me about God, and if I worship God, things will go right. If I don't worship God, things will go wrong. I don't believe that. I'm God. I'm the God of my future. All right? Now watch how these people who claim to believe in a Satan who is real, watch how they treat that real Satan now in what they believe. We found Satanism to be the original religion. We've done our research. Satanism is based on the ancient religions that predated Judaism and Christianity from hundreds to thousands of years. I say sure, it goes back to the very inception of the idea, what we call the Garden of Eden. Christianity was a reaction to the original pagan religions labeled as Satanism, meaning enemy, adversary in Hebrew. If you read through the information contained within this website, we prove this. Now, prove what? In a way, they're right, that the word Satan means adversary, not Satanism. Satan means adversary in Hebrew. That's what Satan is, adversary. To pretend that Christianity was a reaction to the original pagan religions, that's not true at all, of course, because Christianity is claiming to be in fulfillment of the original Hebraic covenant through Moses. This is the prophet that was going to come and save everybody. That's what Christianity claims to be, not a reaction to Satanism, unless the Hebrew covenant of Moses is a reaction to Satanism, but that claims to be some sort of proactive thing in reaction to this Jehovah that shows up and takes him out of Egypt. First calls Abraham and then comes and rescues these people out of Egypt and says, here's the deal. Here's the covenant, and you keep the covenant and I will bless you. Right? So, they're the ones that don't seem to get there. For all their research, I find this very shallow argument. That's how I know it's exoteric. This isn't what the high degree people would argue. If you listen to I always forget that dog's name. That was Manly P. Hall. I've forgotten his name before, but he's their real guru. If you want to know what occultists believe, listen to Manly P. Hall. And you tell me if Manly P. Hall's crowning Satan and waiting to bow to his angels and people serving the Luciferian angels of Lucifer's kingdom. Not at all. It's all about human progression, waking up to our own responsibility, that we have to take responsibility for ourselves. It all sounds very good and ideal until you get to that top level, where the top ideal is realizing that good and evil are the same thing. And that's why you have to be able to exercise both with equal acumen. Okay, but their claim, Christianity was a reaction, labeled the original word for adversary. Christianity was invented to remove spiritual and occult knowledge, the powers of the mind, from the populace and place this power in the hands of a chosen few to the detriment of all humanity. The powers of the mind and soul are very real. People who are unaware of or who do not believe in these powers are easy to control and manipulate by those who are skilled in using these energies. Notice how this deity of theirs has, suddenly, in my view, descended into powers of my mind and energies that don't sound very specific, anymore. Christianity was invented to remove spiritual and occult knowledge, in parenthesis, the powers of the mind. So to them, spiritual and occult knowledge isn't knowledge given from a deity, but the powers of the mind. Right? Okay, to me, this is a very important distinction that is why I've taken the time to go through this today. So they're trying to, this is the first indication, there's more here. The powers of the mind and soul are very real, right? Not the demons are very real to give power to little humans who only have limited power. Remember, it's all about humans have the power. We are the God. We have the power. We don't need God like we don't need Satan. But at the lowest level, just like they give you God to follow and something to worship, they give Islam, they give the Hindus gods to bow to 24 hours a day. You got to keep worshiping your gods or else. That's your basic religious format. Christianity, you just got your one God, Jesus, and boy, he's either, you either go straight to heaven to be with him forever in Club Paradise, or you burn in hell. I mean, that's it, man. Think of that choice. So you better not be caught on the wrong side of Jesus. So every religion's got the bent over the barrel of, keeping with your gods or trouble gonna find you. So it's only this highest Satanism sort of calling, this Luciferian doctrine, in which you're your own God. And the whole idea is you're trying to master yourself for the purposes of the mastery of good and evil, for the mastery of life itself, that you're capable of achieving. That on your path, you're capable of reaching divinity. And so, where do I start? How do I get there from here? Right? So that's their idea that they've been selling forever. So notice how even on this exoteric level where we believe in Satan, Lucifer is real, but wait a minute, what kind of real? Now they're real energies. So now watch the next line. The original gods, they have in quote demons, were unjustly labeled as monsters and branded as quote evil to keep humanity from spiritual knowledge. Because of this, the human race has drastically degenerated both spiritually and intellectually. Again, keep humanity from spiritual knowledge. The powers of the mind, we just found out that is. So that's why the original gods were turned into monsters that we call demons. Spiritual Satanism strongly advocates all learning, knowledge, inquiry, and free thought. Spiritual Satan, free thought, you mean like there's no Satan? You see what I mean? There's no demand that there's a hierarchy of deities that must be kept in mind. No, Satanism's all about you exercising your learning capability. Watch. Spiritual Satanism strongly advocates all learning, knowledge, inquiry, and free thought. Spiritual Satanism supports the separation of church and state. Satanists do not push Satanism or proselytize. Spiritual Satanists acknowledge science and believe everything of the occult supernatural to have a rational, scientific explanation. Let me read that one more time for you people that think Satanists or anybody else is worshiping a god and, a spirit. Spiritual Satanists, these people call themselves. Spiritual Satanists acknowledge science and believe everything of the occult supernatural to have a rational scientific explanation. We believe humanity has been held back dangerously in this area due to the hoax of Judeo-Christianity and its relentless attacks upon science for centuries. Again, ignoring, I suppose, that the Rockefellers have been in charge of science. NASA, I guess that's not a hoax. You're going to the moon. You telling me none of that's a hoax, huh? What's going on today through the powers that be today, who are Satanists, are they revealing truth to us? Anyway, they're blaming the Judeo-Christianity, its relentless attacks upon science, for holding back the rational explanation of things. We practice power meditation to advance spirituality and to elevate ourselves. Power meditation is as essential for the human soul as food is essential for the human body. The serpent, a symbol of Satan, represents the fiery Kundalini force coiled at the base of the spine, which upon ascending transforms the human mind and soul to a much higher level of understanding and ability. This is the true meaning of raising the devil. The serpent symbol of Satan also represents the DNA helix of life. So did you catch that? Power meditation is the method that they use, and that's what lets loose their Kundalini force in the base of your spine. As you allow that to ascend, that transforms the human mind and soul to a much higher level of understanding and ability. Nothing about becoming more like Satan. You see what I mean? Nothing about getting closer to demons, being more like them. I mean, that's implied, I suppose. But you see, the whole idea is it's going on in you and only measured through you. That's what I want people to see. Now this is the next line. Watch this. After what we just read, okay? That power meditation, that the serpent, a symbol of Satan, represents the Kundalini force at the base of the spine. Doesn't represent Satan on his throne in Jupiter, right? No, represents in my body. That force, that energy that we're talking about. Raising the devil is the true meaning of me bringing up that energy from within myself, from my spine, through my spine. Right? To enlighten what? A much higher level of understanding and ability. So it's all very based on me. Now, next line. We work directly with Satan. I'm not sure. Now, watch how, I don't know what that means. We show up at Satan's school and he comes out of an office all on fire and, hello, I'm Satan, nice to meet you. We work directly with Satan. We believe each and every person who's willing and respectful can have a personal relationship with Satan. Sounds like the Christians. You can have a personal relationship with Jesus. Yeah, but how would you know about my personal relationship with Jesus? So I'm not sure here. If Christians can do it, why can't Satanists do it? But I find it a little vague. I'm looking for Jesus is claimed to have raised from the dead. Satan's claimed to just, fallen from heaven like a lightning bolt. He's the morning. There's all these symbols. But where's Satan vindicated in the earth as a thing? The way Jesus was supposedly vindicated in the earth as a man who got nailed to a tree, died and rose from the dead and ate fish with his friends and got seen by 500 people. That's the story. What's Satan's story? Where's he that he showed up and they nailed him to something and he came back from the dead or whatever? Where's his representation in the physical form, hail Satan, that's a person? See what I mean? That when you say we work directly with Satan, you have an idea of who you're talking about. When I say I believe directly in Jesus, I mean, I at least have an idea of this historical character. He came in the Roman times. He's a Hebrew from Palestine. He supposedly worked miracles and was the Son of God, had the Spirit of God in him. He was born of a virgin. And man, oh man, they nailed him to a tree and God took me back to life, and hallelujah, I believe in Jesus. Well, I don't know. What kind of relationship you got with Satan? Who is Satan? So I want people to think about that now as they read who they're going to show you he is. Even as they state, I work with Satan directly. If I'm respectful, I can develop, I'm glad Satan, Satan acknowledges respect, so that's a good thing, right? We work directly with Satan. We believe each and every person who's willing and respectful can have a personal relationship with Satan. There are no mediators in spiritual Satanism. The ministry is here only for guidance and support. It sounds just like Christianity to me. Sounds just like taking Christianity, making a carbon copy. But where's your Messiah they raised from the dead? What's yours based on if you're not doing just what you accuse this so-called Judeo-Christianity of being a reaction to Satanism? Aren't you being a reaction? Where's your personal relationship? How? Satan shows up where to meet him? What miracles do you point to here? Anyway, we take our tenets and practices directly from Satan himself. See, here you go. It's like a Christian saying, Revelation, Jesus said to the 7 churches. That's Jesus. That's what he said to the 7 churches. Is Jesus. That's what Jesus said. Right? That's how we feel. Okay, that's how they feel, apparently. We take our tenets and practices directly from Satan himself. Well, where's that come from? When did Satan write a book? See, I'm still ignorant of this, but I'm not finding much support in this rinky-dink website of theirs, okay? And there's more. So we work directly with Satan, and the ministry is here only for guidance. We take our tenets from Satan himself. For far too long, enemies of Satan, such as the Christian churches, have been at liberty to dictate lies concerning Satan and Satanism. That's true. Of course, those lies, if you understand, have come from the father of lies, Satan, who's in charge of the Christian churches. But anyway, I digress. These lies have been the foundation of occult crimes and other heinous acts that they indirectly promote. True Satanism has been actively and zealously suppressed for centuries, and many out of ignorance believe lies about Satan and react accordingly. Spiritual Satanism is a life-loving religion. See, life-loving, not God-loving. But listen to how they skate this line now. Spiritual Satanism is a life-loving religion. Satan accepts us as we are, but guides us to advance ourselves to where we evolve to a higher level. Spiritual Satanists are free to live their lives as they choose. Responsibility to the responsible. We live by natural law and encourage everyone to develop themselves to their fullest extent. See, there's no law. I mean, Crowley wrote the law or restated the old law. Actually, Crowley didn't write it. It's a law from the Talmud, I believe. Do as thou wilt. That's the whole of the law. So this is the idea again. They say Satan accepts us. Of course, Satan doesn't demand a thing from us. See, there is no law. Do whatever you want. I'm guiding you to your highest own potential. See, it's a way of ignoring the fact that you're pretending now. It just what you accuse the Christian, the religious of, pretending, using this crutch to justify your hypocrisy. Satan accepts you being just a debauched fool, right? With no morals, no ethics, because those are just called good by a bunch of stupid Christians. So anyway, this is where our world's at now. That's why I thought it was worth going into and getting onto the record at this date, because this whole Satanism thing, which is being brought up on purpose to divide and to just, remember Albert Pike said, the whole Satanism thing's just as big a blasphemy as Christianity. They're both pathetic, absurd unenlightened viewpoints that have to be wiped from the face of the earth. But this is where the young people, the hip people, your rock stars, this whole pretending that, the infinity symbol of the OK, what we call the OK sign, that's 666, and all this stuff comes because they're trying to sell Satanism to any fool who will buy it, because they're about to destroy people and they need their conscience clean. If the fools will be Christians or Satanists, Islamists or Zionists, then they're coming to war soon. They're going to choose a side and they're going to go to war for their beliefs. That's what I think is going on behind the scenes these days, and why Satanism is becoming a trending item. Okay, so remember now, the spiritual Satanism, they're a life-loving religion because Satan accepts them as they are but guides them to their own higher level. That's the idea. We know we, quote, save our own souls, as opposed to claims of the Nazarene saving anyone. Excuse me. How's that for your, denying Jesus, right? Because that's what the whole thing's about. It's got to be the denial of Jesus. They don't have their own premise. They're the reactionary crowd, The reaction of I'm my own God, that is the oldest religion. But the way they present their Satanism today as simply the red team, blue team, black, white, chaos, divide and conquer method, the ancient tried and true method. Christians brain dead on one side, Satanists brain dead on the other, both of them throwing stones at each other, at each other's glass houses. That's what's really going on. We know we save our own souls, as opposed to claims of the Nazarene saving anyone. Satanism is based upon the true transformation of the soul through power meditation. The Nazarene is a fictitious entity whose identity was stolen from some 18-plus crucified pagan gods, such as Odin, who hung from a tree and is nothing more than a tool to keep humanity under the control of a chosen few. The Nazarene has been used in Christian masses and services as a substitute for a human living blood sacrifice, revealing their true purpose. So see, they confuse so many facts there. All those old pagan rituals, the Moloch gods and such that did require human sacrifice, and the true Messiah that was claimed to have come in fulfillment of these ancient Hebrew scriptures, right? That said something different than Odin said, didn't he? He came and came to his own people, and his own people received him not. Did Odin get rejected by his own people? All these kind of things that separate out the story of the Nazarene that nobody wants to tackle. Show me that it's false after you really incorporate the whole story, instead of just pointing to these pathetic little circumstantial evidences like, you know what I mean? He was run over by a car with 4 tires. Oops, there's a car with 4 tires. There's the culprit. I mean, that's how pathetic the argument appears to me, that they just rely on the fact that no one knows Scripture. No one really knows the story. They've only ever heard the stupid Christian version or the stupid non-Christian version, the anti-Christian, the Christian hater version, and neither of those have many facts to go by, or their facts are all confused into a sea of, putrid falsity that makes no sense, and therefore who wants to look at any of that stuff, right? You just automatically think it must be false. Okay, so the Nazarene's been used in Christian masses and services as a substitute for human living blood sacrifice, revealing the true purpose. The Judeo-Christian religion is a vicious hoax on humanity of catastrophic proportions. For a hoax to succeed, there has to be a lack of knowledge on the part of the victim. The Christian religion and its cohorts actively suppress knowledge and free thought, encourage people to be slaves, and never advocate or teach anything for the betterment or advancement of humanity. As opposed to the stories of how the Nazarene healed people, Satan shows us how we can heal ourselves and perform so-called miracles using our minds and the powers of our own souls. Right? So again, anywhere in there where Satan does it through us, where Satan is the power that works the miracle, or is it our own mind and soul? Satan shows us how we can heal ourselves. I don't know how he does that. Oh, he told me I'm God. Where is Satan's path? Where is Satan's instruction manual? Do what you want. Do as thou wilt. That's how Satan teaches me, how Satan instructs, how Satan, leads. Do what you want. That's how you'll get there. And of course, that's exactly it. That's how you'll learn good from evil. Do it. Experience it. Get out there. Live it, baby. And so that's why, that's the world we have. That is really what they believe, or, that is the spirit that controls the world. The people that believe that, and only the people that will succumb to that ultimate ideology can be in positions of power. That's why all these, self-righteous, sort of self-proclaimed experts like this A.E. Coding can have 50,000 subscribers and 200,000 views, talking stuff that doesn't even, like trash. You don't even have the brains or the background or the sense to at least delineate the myth of Christianity from the other myths and put some real weight to why that's also misunderstood. You're just going to lump it in with Judeo-Christianity because you can't explain it. So I find that so shallow. And yet that's what the world is getting as the explanation of religion and Christianity. Christianity is Judeo-Christianity. And of course, modern Western churches are happy to claim it. They're not only Judeo-Christian, they're Zionists. So anyhow, I want to finish this commentary today. I just hope it's worthwhile to you guys. Get a little insight into why Satanists have a certain beef that makes sense. They feel they're rebelling against a wrong. They feel they're rebelling against an absurd manipulation and, as they say, a devastating, vicious hoax to substitute some human blood sacrifice story for the idea that, we have the responsibility to advance, I mean, that's what some of the deeper ones point out. This one's pretty shallow. But anyway, these are the spiritual Satanists. Through empowering ourselves, we have confidence, self-respect, and achieve spiritual advancement and independence. Okay? Through empowering ourselves, not through getting closer to Satan. Where's their deity? Who's this? Isn't their deity going to come one day? Rule the world? Excuse me. Spiritual Satanism places no limits on developing the powers of the mind, known as witchcraft or magic. We believe in justice, and just as martial artists are versed in the uses of dim mak and other aspects of physical combat, spiritual Satanists are versed in the black arts of magic should they ever need them. People who are unaware of these powers are defenseless against them, and the powers that be know this all too well. Satan does not tolerate injustice. That's a heck of a statement in our world, huh? I mean, Satanists have had the throne for 100 years or more. They came to Albert Pike, the chief of, Luciferians anyway, 130, 40, 50 years ago. So, I don't know. Satan doesn't tolerate injustice. Well, if that were true, there would be, okay, well, there ain't no Satan. What am I worried about Satan for? Look at the world that's been under Satan's control and tell me it's just. Why aren't all the Christian churches burnt down by now and replaced with satanic temples, if that's the case? God's not doing anything. His hands are off. Prince of the power of the air. Darkness rules the world. Times are evil. Right? All that. War. Nothing but war, famine, death, murder is all we've got as a history. So you're telling me that in that, God's building churches and keeping Satan at bay. These poor Satanists. It's that Satan ain't got no power. The power of Satan is simply man refusing to do the right thing in his own heart. That's this whole Satan. To me, I don't know if there's an entity, Satan, but the power of Satan is in each of us to not choose love, but to choose selfishness, and and as far as that takes us all the way to completely losing your soul and murdering and stealing and all these things, that whatever, we'll get into that another time. I want to finish this now about spiritual Satanism. They place no limits on developing the powers of the mind. Notice it's the powers of the mind credited, known as witchcraft or magic. We believe in justice, right? And they believe in using their spiritual magic to do it. I don't know what kind of power they're, people unaware of these are defenseless against them. Again, then how come the churches are standing and the Satanists are crying? Oh, it's so unfair. Everybody who runs the world worships Lucifer. Everyone who runs Hollywood, everyone who runs the media. Right? That's what we're told. That's what we're shown. The Masons, they're all Luciferians. Even that big general in charge of the MK Ultra project and all that was a big leader of the Church of Satan. So it's hard to believe that Satan has so much spiritual power, and is it's just these vicious Christians and their blasphemy. Where's the power of Satan? So I'm not trying to argue the ideologies on the fundamentalist side. I'm trying to look at it from the idea of, where am I getting evidence of a devil? Where's this devil that's so powerful in this world? Right? If these people, they hail Satan, they dedicate their life, they got their churches. Satan's got his army, as the Christians love to scare everybody with. Yeah, but what are they able to do? They can't even get one of their goat signs put up, Now it's becoming a big deal in the news that they're getting the 10 Commandments and the crosses taken down from public buildings and getting the after-school Satan clubs up and running. Okay, are they taking over the community? Does every kid want to go to the after-school Satan club? Right? And are they coming home conjuring demons? The house is burning down. I mean, what do little devils do? What's the devil want children to do that they're not already doing if they just tune into television? Watch SpongeBob or Family Guy or any of the popular television shows. They already got our kids killing, raping, What's Satan going to show up in a little red suit and drink their blood? I think they just show us that. Anyway, I'm going to show you some of the nature of Satanism here in a second. Like I say, when you go to their updates, their February 2017 updates takes you to a site that don't even exist. So that's how popular this is. As I say, that they're so rich that their website looks like it was created by a dyslexic 12-year-old, while he was, had a brain freeze from sucking on a giant, chocolate shake, watching his favorite sporting event and playing spoons with his one good hand. Meanwhile, he was programming this site. That's how much they got put into this thing. So let's get the last couple lines here, because it's all priceless to me. Satan doesn't tolerate injustice, just know that. Spiritual Satanism does not in any way condone spirit abuse, as taught in the classical grimoires. The demons who were bound and compelled to do the bidding of the sorcerers are now free, and anyone using the 9-foot circle methods and Jehovah names is inviting personal disaster. The demons are our friends, and with respect and reverence in summoning through Satan, we seek to establish mutually beneficial relationships with them. That sounds very vague. That sounds like seance talk to me. That sounds like snake oil salesman talk to me. Does your elbow hurt? No, it's the other one. No, that's because you feel the pain in the knee. That's right, it's the knee. but it's from the elbow. You put this stuff on both your elbows, your knees is going to stop hurting. You know, it's just, I don't know. Where is the reality here? If the demons are our friends, as evidenced by what? You know? As evidenced by... Crowley, what did he do? I mean, they, like I say, made a lot of Hollywood stuff. Made a big name, had a lot of dress parties. Maybe they had a lot of orgies. That's been going on a long time. What? I don't know. What does friendship with the devil, what are these people doing? You know? Because say, what churches are burning down because group of people in the neighborhood, man, they're summoning demons. That's the Christians, they're just a hoax. They believe in nothing. But the demon summoners, they're summoning demons in their neighborhood. How come they're not able to just like sort of, you know, send fire into the church and burn it down or something? I don't know. I would think if you had a big history of that, like you got history of giants all over the world that nobody talks about, I'd say, ooh, you know, hey, what? There's, you know, I want to look into these cases to see, you know, how much evidence is there that, you know, these three people sat in a room doing their little seance chant with their 9-foot circle and they blah, blah, blah. And they all, you know, they did the send fire on the church chant, and the fire in the town, and the church in the town burnt down. You know, if you could show me 100 times when that happened, well, son of a gun, I'm going to start going to satanic masses and find out how, you know, what's going on. How are they doing this? But see, I've never, you know, all my life, all this talk, Aleister Crowley and all this Satanism, and I don't know, it all looks like a bunch of punks to me. It looks like a bunch of absolutely worthless, useless, powerless people like rock stars and you know, the people that have never had power, the you know, sports people and all that, they never used to even let them into the clubs. You know, like when golfers or, you know, the football players, you know, these are like, come on, you're the dirty athlete that we pay to go out there and beat each other up. We don't respect you much to come in. You're not an intellectual. You're a big piece of meat to entertain us. You know, and so those are the people who seem to be all into Satan and Satan and Satan. So anyway, I'm not sure what power Satan has actually, except over each of our hearts, the way God intended it when he produced what we call Lucifer, this beautiful side of God that must present the, you know, everything that is dark, the other side of the light, as a temptation to us that we might know what the light is by experiencing good and evil. Spiritual Satanism, we just said this about the demons are our friends. Spiritual Satanism advocates individuality, liberty, and independence. Right? Again, where is the unity around Satan and his demons? Where does Satanism advocate the future, you know, unity of all the faith under Satan? No. Individuality, liberty, independence. See? Because that's their true doctrine. You are God. Not Satan is God. They say that, and I don't know what, you know, to the exoteric masses to make them brain dead. Is the only reason. I mean, anybody thinking could see that your doctrine makes more sense if you leave out the Satan is God thing and go with the more esoteric version of the Kabbalah, and it's all allegorical. Satan's just the allegorical symbol of rebelling against the idea that we're bound to some concept of good and evil that we've invented. You see? It's obvious that Satan is not the deceiver of humanity. His followers have been few in number, and he doesn't need copious amounts of wealth, power, and control to keep his followers. Like, that's a brag, right? This is the part I want you guys to see now as I end this. They end by bragging that, you know, Satan's not the deceiver. He ain't got no followers. And you know, it's the same brag I use. Nobody listens to me. I must be telling the truth, right? It's kind of what they're saying. His followers have been few in number, and he doesn't need copious amounts of wealth, power, and control to keep his followers. However, we're told if I'm the prince of the power of the air, you better believe more people are going to be listening to me than 30 a week, right? So he's the prince of the power of the air. He's got people summoning his dominions into the earthly realms. Why aren't they burning down churches or causing Christians to fall off their bicycles? Something, right? Causing miscarriages of Christian babies, right? Something. Maybe there are, we don't know. Show me that evidence. I don't want to get into that. I just say, in my life, I see that it's all hype, hype, hype. It all comes from blabber mouths with no real, you don't hear of the deep power, you read Morals and Dogma and there's none of this stuff in there. It really is like the way Manly P. Hall represents it. It's a human responsibility thing. It's recognizing where you are and rising to it as a conscious apprehension. That's their vision of what it means to be divine. And so, to demonstrate the power of Satan in the world, toward the bottom of this fantastic site, it says, this group is for anyone who wants to learn more, have a closer relationship with, and deeper understanding of Satan, sermons, knowledge, how to establish relationships with demons, magic, rituals, and more. To join, click on Hail Satan below. So I thought, well, darn it, I want to know more. I want to find out about establishing relationships with demons, and so I don't. The Hail Satan emblem is one of those broken icons, so it doesn't actually say Hail Satan, but it clicks you over now to a Yahoo group. Joy of Satan Yahoo group. 19,685 members. It was founded September 30th, 2006. Okay, so this group is almost 11 years old. Now, if you were Beyonce or Will Smith or, I don't know, Pimp Daddy or any of these characters, and you started a website 11 years ago, how many subscriptions you think you have by now? No, but you represent Satan himself, as they said. They get their dictates from Satan himself. This is Satan's corner here, people. All right? You want to learn more about summoning demons? They haven't even got 20,000 people in 11 years. Okay? So I don't know. And now watch, this is how they keep, or did keep, I don't know what's going on here these days. I didn't go any farther than this cover site. That's all I wanted to find out today, but I thought this was the last interesting set of facts, is that when you get to their site, this is how open-minded these people are about, the discussion. The joyofsatan.org, like I say, the Yahoo group. The group description for those who wish to establish a relationship with Satan. Topics of discussion include demons, magic, satanic witchcraft, and much more. Okay? 1. We know Satan and his demons are real beings. If you are Levian or feel otherwise, do not push your beliefs here. So right off the bat, they're not interested in any open-minded discussion as to whether Satan and his demons are real beings. I say because all of this is part of the red team, blue team setup. And so this is put out there to be of a certain level of very shallow, exoteric method, just like when you start a tea party and you can't have no, liberal minds over there, infecting your tea party, by trying to balance any issue whatsoever. Every issue has to remain absolutely confrontational and extreme. So anyway, right off the bat, number 1, we know Satan and his demons are real beings. I don't know how they know that they're not even open to, it's like Christians. We know every word of the Bible is true, so if you want to come here and debate that Paul didn't say hell, we don't want to hear from you, right? So you're going to miss the knowledge. Anyway, number 2, people who sympathize with and or support the enemies of Satan, the Jews, Christians, and Muslims, will be banned. Okay? So, blasphemy against Satan and or his demons will not be tolerated. If you believe Satan and his demons are evil, this is not the group for you. Find another. Do not try to push Wiccan or other non-satanic creeds here. Do not try to promote individuals, groups, or organizations who bash the joy of Satan. Your posts will be deleted and you will be banned. Anyone who posts advocating anything illegal will be banned. Please be polite. Flaming will not be tolerated. So I don't know, is it me or does it sound like the pot calling the kettle black? If I do a Christian site and say anyone who believes that, that Jesus isn't a real God can't come on here. Anyone believes that God didn't create the world in 6 days isn't welcome here. Anyone who believes that Jesus isn't alive today is not welcome to join the, it's like, wow, okay, let's just narrow it down to the most narrow-minded group of backslappers, right? And then out of that group of backslapping Satanists, they've got less than 20,000. Right? You start a club blowing air bubbles on top of mountains and you'll have 100 or 200,000 people join your club. So I don't know. Anyway, I say this all points to the fact that Satanism is a hoax, that people that believe that, Satan is a power, that demons are things people are going to let out and these things have any power at all. The power's in the human beings that kill each other and rape each other and justify it in their mind. The power of Satan's in your mind. Whether there is such a thing somewhere else outside of your mind called Satan, I'm not trying to limit it. I'm just saying it's not this entity the way they imagine it, this Hail Satan. At least that's not what they talk about, even on their lowest level. They're not looking to crown Satan. They're looking for themselves to advance in their own meditation to gain them power over their minds so that they can be more powerful individually in their own individual pursuit. Okay? So that's what Satanism really is. And what's trending, of course, is always the nonsense. So I hope that helps. Thanks for being here. Talk to you soon.